Hello and welcome, dear students of class 11th. Today we are going to finish the short story titled Appa Mum, which we have been studying all these days. So let's start the story. Please open your books at page number 65. Okay, we are going to read from the 6th paragraph. Your disciple's grandmother exclaimed, "We didn't know you had any." As we already studied yesterday that this servant, this lady who does the work of washing clothes and washing vessels in the house of the grandparents, she informed the whole family that disciples of Appa Mum are at the gate, and they are looking for the sannyasi. They are looking for Appa Mum. So when everyone heard about this thing, all of them become so excited. They become so so full of excitement. So therefore this grandmother, she asked Appa Mum, "Oh, your disciples, your followers, we never know that you had any followers, so this is something surprising for us." It was only then that we learned that Appa Mum had been practicing silent meditation for years near a North Indian village where he had acquired a band of devotees and been revered as a saint. So here only, here in this place of the in this spot in the story, we learn for the first time that Appa Mum has some followers. He was practicing the art of silent meditation, and he was doing it in some remote small North Indian village, and he had acquired some devotees, and his devotees have now come to come for his darshan, come to visit him. Okay. And they used to respect him, and they used to think of Appa Mum as a revered saint, as a respected, as a a holy person. The older uncle, who was an economist and the most irreverent of us all, was the first to recover from the dumbfounding bit of information. So this older uncle, who was an economist by profession, and who was the most irreverent of us all. Irreverent malab, the rough, or who is not having fine manners, who is not such a social being. So he was the first one who got out of this who got out of this exciting, this confusing, this perplexing information. He was the first one who got out of it, and he started saying something. He said, "I had always suspected," he said, "that half these holy men are a bunch of charlatans." He said that I had this habit of suspecting all the holy men, because I thought that most of them, or half of them, were charlatans. Half of them were just acting like holy men. They are not having such such personality, such religious upbringing. They are just playing. They are just acting like holy men. Now I know for certain, but now I'm completely sure, now I'm completely certain that this kind of thing is happening. Imagine anyone coming to seek Appa Mum's darshan, because we all know who Appa Mum is. We all know about his character, about his personality. So how can we imagine devotees? How can we imagine a person like Appa Mum having devotees, having followers? And the younger uncle ruminated aloud that he might as well leave Love College. So the younger uncle followed suit. He followed the older one and said that, and he uttered some thoughtful words. He said that, "I would leave this law college and become a sannyasi. I feel like leaving law college, leaving my profession, and becoming a sannyasi, since it seemed to me much more profitable occupation, because I think that being a sannyasi, being a holy person, is more a professional, more a profitable business, rather than being a scholar, being a student, or being a teacher." A cousin choked over the idli he was eating. So while these dialogues were being uttered, a cousin who was eating his food, he choked. He vomited whatever he was eating, and he vomited it on the idli he was eating. And soon the ants had begun to giggle, and everyone thought it was the funniest thing that had happened in years. And very soon the ants, who were very much part of the family, they started laughing, they started making funny faces, and now everyone agreed that this incident was one of the funniest incident that has happened in the history of the family, that has happened in many years. What incident was it? The incident was the thought that Appa Mum has devotees, and those devotees, those followers, have come to seek his darshan. Okay. Meanwhile, Appa Mum finished his breakfast quite undisturbed by the general amusement and all the derogatory comments flying back and forth. So what happened that while all these funny statements were being made, all this criticism, all these things were being said, Appa Mem sat quietly and he finished his breakfast, and he was not even a little bit disturbed by this amusement and derogatory remarks. Derogatory means something which is if we translate it in Hindi or Urdu, it means tohin, malab something which is criticizing, something which is making fun of, or something which is belittling someone. So he was not even a little bit disturbed by these statements. Then finally he spoke, and his voice, Appa Mum's familiar, cheerfully raucous voice, was more quiet than we had ever heard it. So after that, after being so undisturbed about all these comments, he finally spoke, and his voice, the voice which was so idiosyncratic, the voice which was so typical of him, that everyone was familiar of, was a little quiet, was more quiet than it usually was. Understand this, he said. So Appa Mem started his speech, started his dialogue by saying that, understand this, he said, I have no objection to your laughing about it at all. I have no objection that whatever whatever funny statements you throw at me, whatever mockery you make out of me, I don't have any objections. I have nothing to say about them. But if you have a grain of sense in your heads, don't do it in front of the disciples. So please, if you are a little if you have even a little sense, don't do these kind of statements, don't do this kind of foolish activities in front of my disciples. Why? Once they have gone, you can laugh at me as much as you like. It will make no difference. So once my devotees, once my followers are gone, you can make whatever funny you can make whatever funny comments you want to make on me. I will be having no objections. It will make no difference to me. But while they are here, remember they have come a long way, and respect their faith. But until the time they are here, they are seeking my darshan, they want to see me. Please don't do anything funny, anything stupid in front of my followers. Unless and until they are gone, you should abstain from such activities, because you have to respect their faith, and we all know that they have come from such a long such a far distant area. So please don't make fun of them, don't make fun of their faith. The laughter died down, and there was quiet after that. So when he said so, there was complete silence, and all the laughter and all the excitement went away. Everyone became serious. Having performed the necessary rites of purification and worship, Appa Mem sat cross-legged under the neem tree at the back of the house and saw his disciples one by one. So when he was done with his rituals, with his normal routine, he performed all the purification he needed to do, and all the prayers, all the worship he had to say. After that, Appa Mem sat cross-legged like a real sannyasi, like a real pandit. He sat cross-legged under the neem tree which was planted at the back side of the house, and he started seeing his followers, devotees, one by one. They came walking across the courtyard. a mother with her baby, an old farmer, a cripple, a young couple, a handful of children, all of them bringing offerings of milk and coconut and wild honey and rice. So, as we already learned earlier, that his followers were a motley collection of people. That is, different types of people comprised of his this followers. So these people, they they came from the gate, and they crossed the courtyard and reached the backside where was this neem tree, and under this neem tree the Appa mem was sitting. So one was a woman with her baby, and there was an old farmer, then a cripple, then a young couple, and some children. All of them were not empty-handed. They were carrying some sort of offerings for the sannyasi, for Appa mem. They had milk, coconut, honey, and rice and whatnot. Appa mem blessed each of them, especially the little one. So Appa mem gave them his ashirwad. He blessed everyone, and he was very cordial. He was showing all the love he can to the loved ones. Made the cripple sit next to him and rest a while, and he made the cripple, the person who was हम क्या बोलेंगे उसको, क्रिपल को हम क्या बोलेंगे, थोड़ा अपाहिज हम अगर बोलेंगे तो, जो क्रिपल था, अपाहिज था, उसको उसने अपने साइड पे बैठने दिया, and he let him rest a while because he had come from such a distance, such a long he had beared such a long journey. So he let him sit and rest a while aside him. Spoke to the farmer, then he spoke to the old farmer, who was also a part of the followers, and smiled at the young couple with a benediction that none of us watching, fascinated from the kitchen window, had ever seen before. And he talked to that old farmer, and after that he blessed that young couple who were recently married, and he blessed them with such a blessing, such a style, such a his blessing was such a unique thing that all the family members who were watching him, who were watching Appa mem from the kitchen window, they had never seen him smile, or they had never seen him bless anyone with such a love and such a religious perfection, or such a spirituality. So this was something completely shocking. Such was something which was completely strange to the family members, but they saw it happening in front of their own eyes. That night, after the devotees had left and Appa mem had come in, when everybody had gone to bed and the house was silent, I mentioned to my mother that I had decided Appa mem was a real sannyasi after all. So that night, when all the devotees had gone back to their places, gone back to their villages, and all the family members were sleeping, they were all resting, and then it was the time, and then the narrator tells us that when the house was completely silent, then I told my mother, I revealed, I accepted, I told this in front of my mother, that from today onwards I have decided that Appa mem was a real sannyasi, and I will never doubt about his sannyasihood, that I have completely gained faith in his being a sannyasi, and I will never question his sannyasihood from now onwards. But 2 days later, what happened? My aunt's earring were missing, and so was Appa mem. But what happened, that after 2 days, my aunt's my aunt's earrings, which she used to wear on her ears, they were missing, and so was Appa mem. We have not heard of him since, and from that day onward we have never heard of him. So he is again out of the house. He is again missing from the house with some ornament or some jewelry or some money, and this time he had taken the earrings of the aunt. So this was the climax, this was the end of the story titled Appa mem, written by Padma Hmedi. Thank you so much for watching. We will take up another lesson in the upcoming videos.